Ba-bum, bum, bum. Oh, where's my nice music? I put it on pause. Hello. Hello. I just woke up from a nap, a really quick nap, because I think my eyes are reacting to something like an allergy or something. So my eyes were like weird and watery, and I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. So I did. How are you guys today? Guys, I spent like the entire morning watching that um that Minecraft movie, the rich and poor Minecraft civilization. Thank you for your pages, please enjoy your. That looks like a fruitcake. Nice. The real Minecraft movie. Oh man, you're so right. I'm like, it was so good. Hi, Raja! Guys, if you haven't seen it, go watch it on your free time. Not while I'm streaming. I mean, I guess you could. It's called what is it called? 1000 people civilization evil poor. I guess he must come out with one of these videos every year because I see all these big thank you for the follow, Simba. I see all these big videos that he's done, like 1000 players simulate prison in Minecraft and 1000 people simulate civilization in Minecraft. I'm Gibbons. But they always are like a year between them. Like this one's 3 years ago, and the civilization one was 2 years ago, and the newest one that came out last month is yeah, I guess not a year ago, but apparently it's been 2 years in the making. Anyways, you should go watch it when you have a chance, because my brain is kind of like, that's all what I'm thinking about right now. It was so cinematic. It was so well done. It was like, wow. And it's like they didn't even write it. It just happened. Thank you for the follow, Alex. Where are you guys coming from? Where are you people coming from? May the odds be ever in your favor. So yeah, that's been on my mind, and coincidentally yesterday I felt like I wanted to start playing Minecraft again. So I was looking up farming Minecrafts because I really wanted to farm and cook in Minecraft. I was just looking up those kinds of mod packs, and I found one, and I went and I spoke to Phil, who used to who had our old server so kindly hosted. Oh my god, you guys are all beating up on me. And I still didn't. So I started getting into Minecraft backroom mod too, because it's fun guessing who turns into the bad guy. Oh my god, Kono. Oh my god, Kono's gonna die. I'm gonna win. I am the winner. So we got a mod pack, and he spent last night setting it up and this morning kind of like doing it. So we have a server. It's not like open yet, quote unquote. I was very, very tempted to stream it today instead of Warrior Cats, but I can't betray Warrior Cat Wednesday. It's just, and you still can't. I guess technically I could do both, okay? I could cut it in half. I could do Warrior Cat Wednesday for an hour and a half and then play Minecraft for an hour and a half. And it is open for anyone in the server to join in if they so desire. But again, it's not technically open yet. Like, we haven't like posted it in the Minecraft chat. Yeah, well, we can when I stream it, then yeah. Anyways, so if we're gonna do that, then I better get down to business. It looks really cool. It's actually like really calming because one of the mods in the pack makes it like, it's like the ambient music that you're listening to, but it's like, it makes sense in like the Minecraft world. Like when you're on the beach, you can feel the wind and there are crows. Could go into it with the expectation it might be weird and jinx since we haven't really tested. Yeah, but it's pretty good. I've wandered around. I think it's pretty good. Do you like my new tag thing? What's your new? Oh my god! You subbed! Why didn't it alert me? Yay, Gibbons! Thank you! What a stinky alert system. Hiding away, Gibbons getting a cute little pop cub subscriber thing. Yay! It's so cute too. You've actually been a sub for quite a while. This is like the third or something badge. So you've been a sub for a hefty amount of time already. Impressive. Okay, I want to play Minecraft, but I also want to read. So let us continue the Warrior Cat story. So previously on Warrior Cat Wednesday, actually a lot happened last time on Warrior Cat Wednesday. So Clear Sky welcomed in One Eye, this evil, scroungy rogue, and Tom, who we know is evil. And he was trying to double down on like, I made the right choice, he's fine, he'll get used to it. But it was very clear to him that One Eye was like really not great. He started training his clan crew on how to fight viciously and dirty. And it seemed like it was like Clear Sky was like, yeah, we're like learning stuff and it's cool, yeah. But then one of Tom's kits, who is in the moor, I forget which one it was. One of them came because she wanted to talk to Tom, who is her father, and she comes in and she's like, I want to talk to Tom, and Tom had unfortunately left to get to like pick up some rocks to help with training. And One Eye was like, well, you should go because you're not welcome here. And she's like, we're on a truce. I'm welcome everywhere. And then he was like, well, how about you fight for it? And then she was like, okay, I'm good at fighting. And so they started fighting, and Clear Sky was watching, and then he started noticing that One Eye was getting a little bit more vicious than he should, and he called the fight off a little too late, and the kit was very badly wounded. And actually, I think the only reason he stopped fighting was because Tom came back and jumped on One Eye and said, stop beating up my kitten. And they started going into a fight. And meanwhile, they were trying to help the kid stop bleeding. And when they turned around, because One Eye had been like, oh, the fighting stopped. So they must have settled their differences. One Eye had killed Tom. So Tom is now dead. And Clear Sky was like, bro, you can't just kill cats. And he was like, well, I was defending my pride. And then Clear Sky was like, no, leave. And so he left, but not before he like jumped Clear Sky briefly and like, I think like scratched his face or something, and it was like, you think you can kill me if I ever get seen by you? You're wrong. And then he ran away. Kind of like a he got the last word situation. And then meanwhile, after all that drama happened, Grey Wing, who is the adopted father of the 3 kits that Tom is the actual father of, is kind of like freaking out because his kit is missing. She went away. She left, and he was like, what the heck? Why is she gone? And Clear Sky had come running back and was like, your child, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped the fight earlier. And Grey Wing's like, oh my god, bro, how could you? And then he's like, I kicked him out. Don't worry. She's fine, but maybe you should take her back. And so Grey Wing went off with one of the kitten's brothers. And when they were crossing the field, he broke the news that Tom was dead because Clear Sky had told him. And the kitten was like, what do you mean? I don't want to go there now. Like, I don't know. He was like really upset. So he was like, I'm going back. And so he turned around and he went back to the Moor camp. And then Grey Wing was alone and he went all the way there. And then he was like, he visited the other kit and he was like, okay, let's go home now. And she was like, no. And then he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I think I'm comfortable here. I like it. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I'll come back when you're more healed, I guess. And then he left. But on his way back, he was getting like really depressed because he's like, okay, my kits don't really need me. My mate is dead. Thunder is like, thank you for the let go, mate. Thunder is taking control of the clan and he doesn't really need me. And I have asthma and my bones are breaking. They're not breaking, but they're like, my joints are weak. I'm sad. I'm depressed. Nobody's gonna miss me if I go. He was kind of he was spiraling a bit. So we went to the gravesite where all of the cats died during the big battle. And he kind of sat there and he was like contemplating things. And then River Ripple showed up and he was like, my bro, why are you here? I told you not to hang out here. It's just depressing. And then he was like, and he was like, why don't you come home with me? And then he was like, okay. And so without telling anyone, he just left with River Ripple back to his territory. I'm really excited about that because I want to see what River Ripple's land is like and the cats that he stays with. I just like River Ripple. And also meanwhile, all this is happening, there seems to be some sort of sickness that is plaguing the forest, the area. They found a mouse or a vole or something. What happened if you're in his shoes? All this depressed thing? Just curious. That's hard to say. If I was in his situation, I would be pretty bummed out too. I might just go with River Ripple as well. Because when you're in that state of mind, like, you're not thinking like, oh, I should tell them where I'm going. You're kind of like, man, nobody's gonna miss me. You're given the opportunity to go somewhere new where they might actually quote unquote care about you, even though you're in a mindset where you don't think anybody cares about you. So you're like, oh, maybe I'll just go to this new place and I'll find more people who like I can care about and they can care about, kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, there's like the sickness and like the prey is kind of like they have sores on them and they're like oozing gross stuff. They're like clearly like sick. And before One Eye left the clan, he said this ominous thing about how half your clan is already done for, in as if like hinting like, hey, you've already touched the sickness, and the sickness is within your clan already, like it's too late. And he was like, tell me more, and he was like, no, and then he left. So that's also going on. There's a sickness. Also, they're trying to solve the prophecy that the dead cats told them about the blazing star. They went to this territory where one of the new rogues in the moor were like, oh yeah, I know what the blazing star is. It's a flower. So they went to this new territory, and Tall Shadow was there. And she was like, oh my god, this is like a beautiful territory. I really like it. This is like, it's like a murky pine tree area. This is where Shadow Clan lives in the future. And she was like, I really like it. And everyone was like, are you okay? Like, it sucks here. And she was like, oh no, it's very beautiful. And they brought like the flower back, and they kind of like passed the flower on to the other groups of cats so that they could ponder what the flower might represent and mean. Personally, and I think we know, that the flower represents the need to have 4 clans. And Tall Shadow has to become the leader of Shadow Clan. And that's where we're at. How did the guy falling go yesterday? Good! I had a lot of fun, actually. It was like, I don't know, I like Fall Guys. And I like chatting with everyone. It was like a chill kind of rambly, chatty stream. It was fun. I was saying that I feel like I really want to play multiplayer games with people. Not just like other VTubers, like collab-wise, but like viewer-wise, and just general multiplayer like games like Splatoon or Fall Guys or Fortnite or stuff like that. And Minecraft, which Fox, did you see in the Minecraft chat? Where the second half of this stream, which I guess kind of sucks for you because you would be asleep, but we're kind of poking in a new Minecraft server that Phil has opened for us, but it's mostly like farming. And I guess there's other stuff sprinkled in, so it's up to you to discover what is sprinkled in. Just a little Minecraft, a little fun and games. All right. Now that everything's been explained, we have, oh my god, it's already been 24 minutes. How does time go by so fast? Holy. Okay. So after we're done getting to an hour and a half, then we're gonna switch to Minecraft, because I wanted to play Minecraft, but I also wanted to honor Warwick at Wednesday. All right. Chapter 13. Let's go. This is immediately after Greywing left with River Ripple, but it's in Thunder's POV. I shall do reading then. Woo! Thunder stood at the edge of the hollow, gazing across the moor. The sun was setting, but Greywing still hadn't returned from the forest. Wait, I just realized something. My Frosty's tools isn't on. Alright, it should be back on, I think. Maybe? Yeah. Thunder stood at the edge of the hollow, gazing across the moor. The sun was setting, but Greywing still hadn't returned from the forest. 3 days before, Owl Eyes had come back alone. Oh, it's been 3 days. His head down and a subdued look in his eye. What are you doing here? Wait. What are you doing here? Thunder had asked him. I thought you went with Greywing to fetch Sparrow Fur. I changed my mind. Owl Eyes replied, as if every word was being dragged out of him. Thunder wanted to ask him why. It wasn't like Owl Eyes to leave his injured sister to cope without him. But clearly the young cat wasn't going to share, and Thunder knew it wasn't his business. So Thunder had simply seen the kit settled with Jagged Peak and Holly, and hoped that the reason for his behavior would become clear soon. But Owl Eyes had said nothing more, and day had followed day with no sign of Greywing. Thunder had visited Clear Sky in case Greywing had stayed with his brother, but all Clear Sky knew was that he had left camp after seeing Sparrowfur wasn't fit to travel. After that, Tall Shadow had sent out a search party, and Thunder himself had watched for his kin when he was out hunting, but no cat could figure out where Greywing had gone. Hi, Susie! Hi, Bonbon! Bonbon, I like your name. Where was I? You look very good, thank you! We're reading Warrior Cats. Thank you for the follow, CZ! Your model's very good. Thank you! I rigged it. I didn't draw it, but I did rig it. Still, I'm losing. Where the heck was I? Owl Eyes and Pebbleheart were frantic. It wasn't long since their mother had died, and now the cat who had become their father had disappeared. This isn't right, Thunder thought. We have to do something. With a last glance over the empty moor, he padded into the hollow and headed for Windrunner's den. As usual, Morning Whisker lay in her nest, motionless except for the occasional jerk of her legs, as if even in her sleep she was in pain. Her belly was still swollen, and more gashes had opened up in her skin. Pebbleheart crouched beside her, watching the king and Kit intently. He looked exhausted, and his eyes were despairing. A tail length away, Windrunner sat with Gorsefur beside her, and the other two kits huddled against her. Morning Whisker will be fine, Mouthflight murmured, giving her mother's fur a comforting link. Yeah, Cloudspots and Pebbleheart know what to do, Dust Muzzle added. Windrunner only shook her head. Thunder could see that she knew how empty their reassurances were. She rose to her paws and stretched her neck forward, as if she was about to lick Morning Whisker's ears. No! Pebbleheart sprang up and blocked Windrunner from coming any closer. You know you're not allowed to touch her, not while she has this sickness. Windrunner glared at him, then turned away, her head drooping. Gorsefur pressed himself against her side, but she didn't even look at him. Windrunner, we're doing all, Thunder began, pain wrenching at his heart to see her grief. Leave me alone, Windrunner snapped. Thunder realized that there was nothing he could do. He couldn't fathom the pain she was feeling. He couldn't make it better. This illness is breaking every cat's heart, he thought as he patted away. Tall Shadow was still perched on the lookout rock, her gaze scanning the moor. Thunder bounded over and leaped up beside her. Have you seen any sign of Greywing? He asked. The black she-cat shook her head. You should have been back days ago. The last cat who went off by herself died, she added. Many of us were lost in a battle. Well, we have to face up to the sickness, and now another cat has disappeared. She gave her tail a frustrated lash. What else can go wrong? The setting sun washed the moor in scarlet light, showing nothing but emptiness between the hollow and the dark line in the forest. Thunder let out an anxious sigh. I'll keep watch through the night, Tall Shadow assured him. But is that enough? Thunder asked, worry prickling his pads. I could go out and look for him again. Tall Shadow shook her head. You said it yourself. Our first concern is keeping away from the sickness. We all agreed. In the dark, you don't know which animal you'll meet, and you could easily put your paw on dead prey. It's best for you to stay here and be patient. Though he didn't like it, Thunder knew that she was right. He settled down on top of the rock, willing himself to relax, and finally fell into a doze as the sun vanished and the sky darkened. Drowsing uneasily through the night, he was roused from time to time by the hooting of owls or the bark of a fox. Knowing Greywing was far from home made it impossible for him to fully drift off, and all the while he was aware of Tall Shadow watching and waiting beside him, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The damp chill of dawn brought Thunder back to full wakefulness. Above his head, the stars were growing pale, and a milky light was beginning to show the horizon where the sun would rise. Thunder rose and stretched his cramped legs, arching his back and shivering at the dew that misted his pelt. At the foot of the rock, he spotted a mouse scuffling among the grass, and bunched his muscles, ready to pounce. Before he could move, Tall Shadow nudged him. There was a cat coming. Thunder looked up to see a dark shape outlined on the horizon, headed for camp. "Greywing!" he exclaimed thankfully. He leaped down from the rock and raced across the moor to meet him. But as he drew nearer to the cat, he realized that it wasn't Greywing. Clear Sky, what does my father want now? "Have you seen any sign of Greywing?" he demanded as soon as Clear Sky was in earshot. Clear Sky skidded to a halt beside him. "Not since you left my camp," he replied, looking confused. "I already told you that. Hasn't he come home yet?" Thunder shook his head. "We haven't seen him." Clear Sky twitched the tip of his tail worriedly. "Well, he certainly—" "Thunder! Clear Sky!" The distant call that interrupted him came from Tall Shadow, still on her rock. She beckoned them with her tail and leaped down to join them as they padded up. Clear Sky wrinkled his nose as he entered the camp, and Thunder realized how heavily the taint of sickness hung in the air. "Morning Whiskers know better then?" Clear Sky asked. Thunder shook his head. "I think she's dying," he choked out, his heart breaking as he spoke the words out loud for the first time. He and Clear Sky followed Tall Shadow as she retreated to the edge of camp. "Why did you come to see us?" she asked. Clear Sky looked uncomfortable, his whiskers quivering as he replied, "I'm very worried about this illness."
"Hi, Black."
"All the trouble with One Eye distracted me, but now that it's quieted down, I can see that the biggest danger facing us is exactly that, the sickness that's killing Morning Whisker. I'm afraid other cats were exposed, and I'm keeping my eye out for any signs that any other cat is getting sick. The trouble is," he admitted, "even if one of our cats starts to show symptoms, I have no idea what to do for them." Glancing from Thunder to Tall Shadow and back again, he added, "I want to do all I can to help. After all, we're in this together."
"Blake!"
"Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even read the 3. Sorry, Blake. I used to know a Blake. He was a very funny dude." Thunder was impressed. Only a few moons ago, Clear Sky was acting like he owned the forest, attacking cats who dared to step paw over his borders. Now he wants to keep the peace. "Times have changed," he murmured. Clear Sky's whiskers twitched with irritation. "I haven't changed that much," he protested. "I was always the same cat." Tall Shadow gave him a long, hard look. "I never doubted it for a moment," she meowed. Clear Sky blinked, and a rough purr rose from his throat. Thunder could see how much Tall Shadow's words meant to him. "So, how are we going to stop the sickness?" Clear Sky asked briskly, stepping back. "Only those tending to them are going close to our sick cats," Tall Shadow explained. "And we're being careful about hunting, so that we don't bring sick prey back into the camp." "That may not be enough," Clear Sky commented. "I've been thinking. The forest fire was probably a good thing. The flames should have cleansed the lands. So that area that was burned might be a good place to make camp if we need to move." Thunder didn't like the sound of that. I wouldn't want to move cats as sick as Morning Whisker." Clear Sky gave him a puzzled look. "Well, we'd leave the sick cats behind," he mewed. "Otherwise, we'd bring the sickness with us." Thunder let out a sigh. My father still has that ruthless streak. You could see that Tall Shadow wasn't keen on Clear Sky's idea either. "Why don't we all meet by the 4 trees and discuss it?" she suggested. Clear Sky hesitated for a moment. "I'll tell my cats. Is sunset okay?" Once Tall Shadow had assented, Clear Sky bounded off. Thunder watched him go, unable to feel hopeful about this meeting. Where is Greywing?
"Blackie?"
I knew a cat named that.
Cute little kitty cat. Blake, Blake, Blake.
The rest of the day seemed to stretch out like an entire season. Thunder left the camp, partially...
Thank you for the
streams are a must-watch. This trans gamer is all about inclusivity and fun, playing with viewers and rocking that newly built PC. Oh, nice! Thank you for the follow, Ruka! Are you reading? I am reading. Playing with viewers and rocking that newly built PC, from strategizing in Marvel Rivals to mastering tank roles, Rugo's journey is inspiring. Don't miss out on the good vibes and LGBTQ plus representation. Yeah! Welcome to the Popcorn Bucket! Welcome in. Hi, Nico. Hi, Ruka. I hope you had fun. Nico recommended me. Oh, thanks, Nico. Nico, that's so kind of you. Yay! Cheer! I need to get, like, some sort of thing where when you guys do a cheer that it, like, explodes across the screen. Thank you! Let me give you a follow, too. If it's gonna let me. If it's gonna let me. Orange soda! Oh, man, I love orange soda. You guys were playing Marvel Rivals? Who do you like playing on Marvel Rivals? I haven't played since it came out because I'm very bad at those kinds of games. Very bad at those kinds of games. Oops, 2. Me too! And Scarlet Witch. Ooh, Scarlet Witch. That one's... No. Wait, which one's the one with the shadow? Like, it can switch from a shadow attack and a healer. Is that the Scarlet Witch? What do you like to read? I mean, Jeff! I love Jeff! Cloak and Dagger, yes. Right, there's 2 names. I love Jeff. But Jeff was the one that I was playing. I wasn't very good at his ult where you're supposed to eat people and then spit them out. I was very bad at that. I think I was okay healing, probably. Lily hopped off stream so I could reread Omniscient Raiders Beat Blue Point. Reading time. The answer is yes. Yeah, welcome in and good luck! My name is Nono Noelle. Today is Warrior Cat Wednesday, so if you have chores to do or you just want to hang out and have something to play in the background, feel free to do so. Or if you need to head out and, drink some water, put on some sunscreen because it's hot outside right here where I am, but I guess you should put on sunscreen anywhere because UV lights are harsh even when it isn't sunny out. Do you like to read horror thriller books? I actually haven't ever read a horror book. I mean, right now I'm only reading Warrior Cat, so that's very different. Of course, I will go ahead and keep you tapped. Thank you! I'm going to be reading with you. Nice. Happy reading. Same. Yeah. I think the last horror book I ever read was like one in my youth, my baby children book era. When I was a child, where it was like scary stories kind of thing. Would you like me to suggest one to you? Sure, why not? I probably will not read it, but someone in chat might want to read it. Okie dokie artichoke. I'm gonna keep reading so you guys get comfy. We're in the Warrior Cat world. The rest of the day seemed to stretch out like an entire season. Thunder left the camp partially to hunt, but mostly to keep his eye open for his missing kin. Though he hunted well, chasing down a rabbit, he found no trace of Greywing. I wish the day was over, he thought as he returned to camp with his prey. Maybe some cat at the meeting will know where Greywing is. But as Thunder padded down into the hollow, he regretted wishing the moments away. A shriek of grief sounded from Windrunner's den. Dropping his rabbit, Thunder bounded over to where Morning Whiskers was stretched out on the ground. The kit's eyes were rolled back into her head. There were scuff marks on the ground beside her, as though she had raked the earth in some kind of fit. Her tongue lolled out of her mouth, swollen and cracked. A As Thunder watched, pity and horror surging through his body, the tiny kit's spine contorted in a final shudder of pain. Then she lay still. Well.
Well.
Let's add one to the death counter. Forbidden Spirit. Ooh! Hindan no Ascension. Interesting. That sounds actually very cool. Windrunner sprang towards her, but Pebbleheart was faster, darting to block her. Get out of my way! Windrunner snarled. I can't let you touch her, Pebbleheart responded. I'm sorry, but even now you could catch the sickness. She's my kit! Windrunner howled, her voice cracking with grief. I can't lose another one. Furiously, she lashed out at Pebbleheart, her claws extended. Thunder leaped forward to get between them, taking the blow on his own shoulder. Don't, he meowed to Windrunner. Pebbleheart is only trying to help. Windrunner glared at him for a heartbeat, and Thunder braced himself for an attack. But instead, the brown she-cat collapsed to the ground, letting out a thin, heartbroken wail. Horsefur crouched beside her, licking her ears, and the rest of the cats gathered around in silent concern. Tall Shadow was the last to approach. Windrunner looked up and faced her with hostility in her eyes. Don't tell me, she spat. We'll need to have a burial. You're very good at organizing those, aren't you? Thunder rested his tail on Windrunner's shoulder. Tall Shadow only wants to help, he told her, trying not to sound harsh. He could see that Windrunner was out of her mind with grief. Tall Shadow dipped her head towards Windrunner, her eyes patient and sorrowful.
Nice meeting you, Blake. Have a good rest of your day.
What would you like us to do? She asked. Windrunner gazed for a moment at Gorsefur, then at her dead kit. I'd like us to send Morning Whisker to live with the spirit cats, she whispered. That's what she deserves. Yes, yes, I'd like that too, Gorsefur agreed. And that's what we shall do, Tall Shadow mewed. Turning to the other cat, she continued, Go fetch leaves, as many as you can find, not dried up and crackly, but fresh ones that we can use to wrap Morning Whisker's body. Grateful for something to do, Thunder bounded out of the hollow with his den mates, heading for the forest. As he reached the outskirts, he found plenty of leaves and collected a bundle to carry back to camp. The others returned too, piling their leaves in a heap beside the kit's body. Pebbleheart, Tall Shadow meowed, you and Cloudspots are the only cats who have touched Morning Whisker directly. Will you wrap her in the leaves, please? Of course, Tall Shadow. Pebbleheart dipped his head respectfully. Leaf by leaf, under the intent gaze of their den mates, Pebbleheart and Cloudspots wrapped the kit in layer after layer of leaves until her body was covered. Then, between them, Mousiear and Jagged Peak nudged her across the moor, all the weary way to the 4 trees, with the rest of the group surrounding them in silent escort. As the sun slid down the sky, casting long shadows over their path, Thunder realized with a start that Morning Whisker would never see another morning in her short life. It wasn't fair. For one so young to be lost, or for Windrunner to lose another of her kits. His heart started to pound, and he didn't know how to go on bearing his sorrow. At last the cats arrived beside the grave where the cats who had died in the battle were buried. Where would you like to put her? Tall Shadow asked Windrunner. We shouldn't disturb the main grave. Windrunner's gaze fell on a gorse bush at the foot of the slope that led down into the clearing. Joined in time for all the sads. Heck yeah! Over there, she meowed. Morning Whisker always liked hiding in bushes. She began scraping at the ground underneath the bush. Thunder and the others joined in to help her as soon as they had dug up a hole big enough to bury the kit, Gorsefur nudged the tiny, leaf-wrapped body into the grave and helped Windrunner to paw the soil back over it, patting it down gently. Windrunner tore a sprig of gorse off the bush and laid it on the grave, her eyes wide with sorrow. Goodbye, my little one, she whispered. Thunder's heart ached as he glanced up at the sky, where clouds had covered the sun. He knew it was still early for the spirit cats to appear, but he sent a message up to them. Set Windrunner's kit free of her pain. he murmured, and let her play among the stars. When he looked down again, Tall Shadow gave him an approving nod. Well spoken, she mewed. Glancing around at the other cat, she added, we may as well stay here. It's not long to sunset when we have to meet Clear Sky and his cats. Sorry, not kids. Windrunner turned away from her kit's grave. I'm not staying, she told the others with a challenging look. I can't stand all of this anymore. I should have remained a rogue, alone on the moors. If I had my kits alone, maybe Morning Whisker would still be alive now. Maybe none of this would have ever happened. I've helped. Her voice shook, and she made a massive effort to steady it. I've helped you hunt and battle, and all I have had in return is grief and heartbreak. Thunder's mouth turned dry, and it was hard for him to speak. But where will you go? Windrunner gazed further out towards the moor. Back where I came from. I'll take my kits and disappear among the long grasses, and none of you will ever have to care about me again. But we want to care about you, Holly protested. I was a rogue cat too, and I remember how hard it was, even if you don't. Windrunner, don't cut yourself off, not when you're having such a tough time. She won't be alone, Horse Fur meowed, stepping forward. I'll go with her. They arrived together, Thunder thought, and now they're leaving together. Are you sure? He asked. But Windrunner was already turning away, running through the trees with Mothflight and Dust Muzzle following her. Horsefur cast a regretful glance at the other cats. Don't worry, he mewed. I'll look after them. Breaking into a run, he followed his mate and their kits out of sight. Will we ever see Windrunner and Gorsefur again? Thunder wondered. It is reading day, but it is only half reading day today. In an hour and a half, we're gonna switch to Minecraft because we have a new Nono server to explore and get into. Chapter 14. Ugh. Got something in my eyeball. I really think it's the allergies. Or I have like jalapenos stuck on my fingers for a very long time. What's Suspiria? Suspiria. Suspiria. Ooh. I love me a good horror movie. Maybe I'll play this later. Tomorrow. I know, that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm rubbing spice in my eyeballs. Maybe I need, like, eye drops to wash my eyeballs. I've seen, like, TikTok routines where they wash their eyeballs now, like, as part of their daily routine, or their quote-unquote daily routine. It is very weird. Chapter 14. Scarlet light slanted through a gap in the clouds as the sun went down. A chilly breeze sprang up, and a few dead leaves whirled around down over the waiting cats. Leaf Bear is almost here, Thunder thought. Then he noticed movement among the bushes that lined the side of the hollow, and a heartbeat later, Clear Sky padded into the open, the rest of his cats trailing behind him. Greetings, he meowed, dipping his head to Tall Shadow and Thunder. Greetings, Tall Shadow responded. Let's all gather around the rock and... She broke off at the sound of more rustling from the bushes. A clump of ferns parted, and River Ripple emerged. River Ripple! Thunder exclaimed, pleased to see the silver-gray Tom. How did you know that there was a meeting? River Ripple paused to give his silky chest fur a couple of licks. I know everything, he purred. When are you going to learn that? And I brought a friend with me. To Thunder's amazement, Greywing slipped out of the ferns behind River Ripple. His whole body was tight with tension, and he didn't meet any cat's gaze. Thunder felt his whole body sag with relief. Greywing was okay! He bounded over to the gray Tom. Greywing, where have you been? He demanded. Relief and anger mingled in his voice. How could you go off like that and leave us all to worry about you? Greywing still didn't look at him. Sparrowfur didn't want to come home with me, he explained, and I couldn't face returning to the hollow alone. I just needed to be on my own. Yes, River meowed. I found him shivering beside the grave. I took him back to my river island with me. And that's where I'm staying for now, Greywing added with a grateful smile at the silver tom. I need some time to think. To think about what? Thunder asked. Where's all this come from? Greywing, we need you. Greywing met his gaze for the first time. Do you? Or am I just getting in the way? I'm not feeling angry or anything like that, he went on, overriding Thunder's attempt to protest. But I do feel like I'm getting in the way. You're a great leader, and so is Tall Shadow. Aren't 3 cats making decisions too many? No, Thunder responded, hardly able to believe that Greywing was thinking this way. We were all working together. I thought it was going well. Greywing shook his head. You've grown into your huge paws, Thunder. I don't want to keep you from becoming the cat you should be. So I need to think about the next steps for me, and I need space to do that. At last Thunder was shocked into silence. He saw how relieved Greywing looked to not have to face any more objections. But before either cat could say more, Tall Shadow stepped forward. I see your point, Greywing, she rasped. But did you have to disappear like that? We were all really worried about you, especially Owl Eyes and Pebbleheart. Greywing dipped his head. I'm sorry, he murmured. It was short-sighted of me. I'll never do that again. While they talked, the breeze had strengthened, driving the last of the clouds away, and moonlight flooded into the clearing, picking out every remaining leaf on the 4 oaks. Clear Sky bounded across to the great rock and leapt on it. Gather around, all of you, he called. Let's begin this meeting. As the cats found places to sit near the foot of the rock, Thunder noticed another cat slip quietly out of the undergrowth and settle down a few tail lengths away from the others in the shadow of a clump of ferns. With a gasp of amazement, he recognized the golden tabby she-cat who had spoken to him after the second meeting with the spirit cats. The one that he has a crush on. He is infatuated. Now she turned her intense green eyes towards him, and for a moment their gazes locked. Then she glanced away again, looking up at the rock as she waited for Clear Sky to speak. A shiver ran through Thunder from ears to tail tip. Who is she, and what is she doing here? The thought was quickly followed by another. If one strange cat can join us, others might do the same. Suddenly feeling vulnerable and exposed, he took a careful look around the clearing, breathing a sigh of relief when he saw no trace of One Eye. Tall Shadow leaped up onto the rock and sat beside Clear Sky. We have had sickness in our camp, she began, when Runner's Kit Morning Whisker died earlier today. Her belly was swollen and there were cracks in her skin oozing blood. Has any cat seen this illness anywhere else? We found a mouse that had died the same way, Thunder added. There was that bird, Clear Sky meowed, the one you argued over with One Eye. There was a dead fox near the Thunder Path. Snake sprang to his paws to make his contribution. It had a swollen belly and froth all over its jaws. Quickwater nodded. I saw it too, and a squirrel with half its fur gone, and sores all over its body. And I also found a dead vole by the river. River Ripple contributed. Cloudspots, you know herbs, Shattered Ice began. So do you, Dapplepelt? Have you seen anything like this before? Yeah. Are there herbs that could help?
Jagged Peak
asked that question as if he wasn't in a clan with Cloudspots and Pebbleheart trying to care for a sick kitten. Bro, if they had anything, they would do it. Cloudspots rose reluctantly. Thunder saw that he looked bewildered, and knew before he spoke that he wouldn't have any useful answers. I advised Pebbleheart to treat Morning Whisker with Tansy, he meowed. It might have slowed down the progress of her illness, but it didn't cure her. I'm sorry. River Ripple, what about you? Tall Shadow looked down at the silver tom from her place on the top of the rock. Have you come across this before? River Ripple dipped his head to her. I haven't seen this exact sickness before, but I have seen severe illness. There was one green leaf where many of the rogue cats died. It seemed like it had something to do with the heat. It's been hot this past Greenleaf too, Thunder thought. Maybe the same thing is happening again. How did you get rid of the illness last time? He asked. Most of the cats split up, River Ripple replied. I didn't see some of the rogues for a long time. Then after Greenleaf, we started to mix again, and the sickness seemed to have worked its way out. One Eye sounded as if he knew something about it, Clear Sky put in. He mocked me, but wouldn't give me specifics on what he knew, just that some of the cats in my group were as good as dead. And now Morning Whisker has died, but no other cats are sick, Acorn Fur added. And One Eye isn't even here to tell us anymore, Clear Sky said, looking down at his paws, embarrassed. What happened with that cat isn't your fault, Thunder reassured him. I know, but if One Eye were still here, he might be able to advise us, Clear Sky mewed desperately. Yes, but at what cost? Lightning Tail interrupted angrily. He's killed one cat and nearly killed another. How many more would have to die just so that we could listen to his words of wisdom, if he has any wisdom to offer? A murmur of agreement rose from all the cats. Of course, Lightning Tail is right, Thunder thought. We'd all be mouse-brained to have any more to do with One Eye. Talking about One Eye is distracting us from the real issue, he pointed out. But we need to keep our eyes out for him. Clear Sky reminded them in a low voice. He's dangerous, and he has sworn revenge. Everything in its time, Tall Shadow spoke with her usual cool wisdom. For now, we need to figure out how to protect ourselves from the illness. We need to separate. Thunder gave a start of surprise as Greywing... Oh, we need to separate. Tall Shadow gave a start of surprise as Greywing spoke for the first time. Make sure that our groups don't mix. Set up boundaries and respect them. Dude, what? Disbelief flashed through Thunder at his kin's word. But we spent so long defending unnecessary boundaries, he protested, and now you of all cats want to set them up again? We're vulnerable now, Greywing pointed out. It's part of what I told you before. We have some good leaders, but too many for only 2 groups. If we split up, natural leaders can take their rightful places, and all cats will be protected. I like the swampy land beyond the Thunder Path. A quiet voice spoke up, and it took a moment for Thunder to realize that it came from Tall Shadow. More briskly, she continued, I think it would make a perfect home, far enough away from the other cats to safeguard whoever goes with me. Thunder blinked at her in disbelief. You want to leave the hollow and go somewhere else? What are we supposed to do without you? And how many other cats have been hatching big plans behind my back? He asked, feeling the fur on his shoulders begin to rise in anger. Clear Sky looked down at him. Thunder, this isn't about cats deceiving you or betraying you. Every cat is trying to do the right thing. We just want to save lives. Huh, Thunder thought. That's a bit much coming from you. But he had the sense to stay silent and made his bristling fur lie flat again. Can we come to a decision? Holly asked, an edge of irritation in her tone. For the record, I'm expecting kits, and I'd prefer not to be moving around, trying to set up a new group. Her question sparked off a discussion, with every cat trying to have their say. There was no clear agreement. Thunder stayed silent, letting the argument swirl around him, as impatient as Holly to have this settled so they could leave. Okay, this is what we'll do, Tall Shadow meowed at last. I'll stay on the moor with Thunder, for the time being anyway. Clear Sky will take his group back to his camp, and Greywing will go with River Ripple. Agreed? That's hardly any different from how we're living now, Greywing pointed out. Because this isn't the time to be making big changes, Tall Shadow retorted. Again, her gaze raked the group. Are we all agreed? Thunder didn't object, though he would have preferred Greywing to come home with him. What about Sparrowfur? He asked Clear Sky. Will she return to the hollow when she's healed? I don't know, Clear Sky replied. She'll make the decision when the time comes. Greywing winced at these words, but didn't argue. The meeting was clearly over. As the cats began to split up to return to their own camps, Thunder turned away, flicking the tip of his tail in frustration. The spear cats hadn't visited. They were no better off in terms of understanding the illness, and he was unsettled by the thought of the cats dividing into more groups. It hasn't happened yet, but it's clear that's what Greywing and Tall Shadow want, he thought bitterly. Unite or die. That was the message, wasn't it? He said to himself. So much for unity. Then he noticed that the strange she-cat had risen to her paws and was weaving among the others until she reached Thunder's side and brushed her pelt against his. Meow. Thunder's whole body shivered at her touch, though he tried not to show it. My name is Starflower, she purred, her voice rich and sweet as the scent of honey. I was named after the white flowers that grow at night with their 5 petals. If you look closely at my eyes, you'll see the 5 petal shapes. Dude, what a intro! Girl! She stood in front of Thunder, nose to nose with him, as if she was daring him to gaze at her. With a huge effort of will, Thunder turned away. A fox length away, he spotted Lightning Tail. The Black Tom was watching him intently. Thunder felt even more awkward. I told you before, I heard a lot about you, Starflower continued. Thunder felt surprised and a bit uneasy. Which cats have been talking to her about me? The golden tabby's glance dropped to his paws, and she reached out to give one of them a quick pat. You're not as big as some cats said. They're not as big as some cats said, she told him, but I could train you to fight with them. With one last teasing glance, she patted away. She's flirting hardcore. Thoroughly flustered by the encounter, Thunder turned and, seeing most of his group close by, caught their attention with a wave of his tail. In the future, he began, if we meet any strange cats, can we let each other know? It doesn't feel right letting them slip into our meetings without knowing who they are. Oh, Thunder, Tall Shadow meowed. Stop being so grumpy and hostile. Thunder's eyes widened, though he didn't respond. Is that Tall Shadow talking? The cat who wouldn't let any strangers join our group, or even visit for more than a few heartbeats? By now, full darkness had fallen, and the departing cats melted into the night. Thunder realized that Tall Shadow was padding along by his side. Did you really like what you saw on the other side of the Thunder Path? He asked. Tall Shadow shrugged. I told you when we were there. I just find it so beautiful. But to live there? Thunder protested. It's marshland. Some of it, yes, Tall Shadow agreed. But there are flowers growing there, and trees. I loved the misty air. It felt special somehow, as if it was a secret place just inviting me to explore it. She shook her head, looking slightly confused. I can't explain it. I feel at home. But what would I tell the others if you went? Thunder asked. Though he'd often disagreed with Tall Shadow, there was an ache in his heart at the thought of losing her calm and watchful presence. I've lost so many who are dear to me. And now Tall Shadow too?
Thanks for the follow, Manna.
Tall Shadow gave her pelt a shake. Oh, stop worrying, she exclaimed. I'm here, aren't I? I'm going back to the hollow with you. Thunder didn't feel at all reassured by her words. Things were changing, and not in a good way. To take his mind off his worries, he thought back to his meeting with the beautiful she-cat, Starflower. I can't imagine what she has to teach me, he thought, but I'd like to find out.
She's gonna teach you about love! Romance! Hi, Manna! How are you?
Chapter 15. Clear Sky headed back to his camp, with his cats around him.
Good, and you? I'm good. We're being warrior cats today.
But in a half an hour, gonna switch to Minecraft. Clear Sky headed back to his camp with his cats around him, moving easily among the trees in the starlight. Petal, who had stayed behind to look after the kits, rushed to meet him as soon as he set paw in the clearing. Come quick, she mewed urgently. It's Alder! Fear gripped Clear Sky's heart, remembering the terrible symptoms of the sickness that he had seen on the dead bird. Are my worst fears starting to come true? He rushed over to the nest Petal shared with the kit, expecting to see Alder with a bloating belly and sores all over her skin. But when he reached the nest, all he saw was Alder laying comfortably among the moss. Birch sat beside her, stroking her tail with one paw. Hi, Alder. How do you feel? Clear Sky asked. Alder blinked up at him sleepily, seeming confused, as if she wasn't sure where she was. She's just tired, Clear Sky meowed. Honestly, Petal, did you have to give me a scare like that? The yellow tabby glared at him. She's not just tired. She waved a paw in front of Adler's face, and the gray and white kit didn't react. See how she's not focusing on me? Petal demanded. Something's wrong.
Didn't I tell you?
A sneering voice spoke behind Clear Sky. Whirling around, Clear Sky. Why can't I read? Oh my god. Clear Sky saw One Eye standing a couple of fox lengths away from him, a mocking gleam in his eyes. Nettle, who had been left with Petal to guard the camp, stood behind him, his gaze filled with a mixture of guilt and horror. Petal shifted suddenly to stand in front of the kits. Stay in your nest, she warned them. Clear Sky shot her a glance. The conviction that something terrible was happening swelled up inside him. What's going on? He demanded. Petal couldn't meet his gaze. Her face showed the same guilt as Nettle's, and her ears were flattened to her head. What do you know that I don't know? Clear Sky insisted, but Petal still wouldn't answer. Desperation pulsed through Clear Sky until he felt that every hair on his pelt must be quivering. But he faced up to One Eye boldly, determined not to let the rogue intimidate him. He humiliated me in front of my own cats, and Thunder and Greywing. He killed Tom and injured Sparrowfur. Sudden realization flooded over Clear Sky, and he glanced wildly around the clearing. Sparrowfur, where is she? What have you done with Sparrowfur? He asked One Eye. He was determined not to allow her to be hurt again, not when he had insisted that she should stay in the forest to recover. One Eye let out a snort of cruel laughter. You don't need to worry about that, stupid little kid, he sneered. As he spoke, a meow of distress sounded from behind Clear Sky. He whirled around to see twigs and branches wedged in a solid barrier, blocking the opening in a hollowed tree. He could just make out Sparrowfur peering out of a small gap. She let out another plaintive mew. He'd put her in jail.
Clear Sky, help me!
She begged. Clear Sky turned back on to One Eye. Taking a pace forward, he let his shoulder fur bristle up and his tail bush out. Let that kit out, he snarled menacingly. She still hasn't recovered properly from what you did to her. She needs food and rest, not torturing. One Eye looked not at all threatened by Clear Sky's challenging stance. You can't tell me what to do, he snapped. This is my territory now. As Clear Sky stood frozen, stunned by the outrageous claim, One Eye stepped forward in his turn until he confronted Clear Sky nose to nose. While you were off with your stupid friends sharing tales at the 4 trees, he went on, I took real action. These cats need protecting from the sickness, and I'm the cat to do it. Clear Sky glanced around at the cats who had accompanied him to the meeting. They were bunched together, sharing looks of bewilderment and fear, as if they couldn't believe this was happening. Neither can I, Clear Sky thought grimly. But if One Eye thinks he can just stroll in here and take over my territory, he's got another thing coming.
Hi, Rika Bob. Welcome in.
Clear Sky didn't want to tackle One Eye on his own. He had seen how fiercely the rogue could fight, but with his cats behind him, surely they could drive One Eye out without any trouble. So why does he look so confident? Letting his gaze travel over his cats again, Clear Sky wondered how much support he could expect. Petal would stay where she was to protect the kits, and it was right that she should. Quickwater had shown her mistrust of him ever since the battle, even though she was one of the cats who had accompanied him on the journey from the mountains.
Did I miss the second lore? What second lore?
But he felt he could trust Acorn Fur. She had been hardworking and enthusiastic ever since she left the moor to come and live in his camp. With a hollow feeling inside him, Clear Sky realized that he wasn't sure about the others. Leaf and Thorn, Nettle and Snake had only recently joined his group. Snake in particular was giving him a hostile glare, as if he would join One Eye for a couple of mouse tails.
Thank you, Mana.
A pang of regret for his friends he had lost in the great battle shook Clear Sky. Now he realized how precarious his position was. Clear Sky tried not to let One Eye see his doubts. Get out of here, he meowed firmly, or we'll rip your pelt off. One Eye didn't move. Don't you remember what I said? He sneered.
Mwah!
He sneered.
I may have only have one eye, but I see everything. I watched these cats carefully when I joined your so-called group, and there's something I noticed. Most of them don't like you very much, Clear Sky.
Mews of protest sounded from Petal and Acorn Fur, but before either of them could say more, One Eye rounded on them furiously.
Shut up!
Turning back to Clear Sky, he added,
And there's something else I noticed. You don't actually know how to keep your cats in line. Oh, yes, you think you're being very clever, guarding territories and hiding in the forest like a coward. But what does that actually achieve?
I don't want to keep my cats in line, Clear Sky argued. I just want to help them survive. One Eye rolled his single eye.
What a fool, he exclaimed. What a deluded fool.
Without shifting his gaze from Clear Sky, One Eye flicked his tail to beckon Petal forward. She stepped towards him, and for the first time Clear Sky noticed that she was limping. As she approached, One Eye lunged towards her, and Petal instinctively jerked away. She fell on her back, paws flailing, and Clear Sky noticed a wound in the pad of her forepaw. It was a red circle, as if the flesh had been drawn open by a claw. It looks just like an eye. Jesus. Huh?
She and Net'll carry my mark now.
Yo, he's branding them, One Eye stated proudly.
And the rest of them, too, before the night is out.
What about the sickness? Clear Sky asked, hardly able to believe the depths to which this cat's lust for power would lead them. There's illness in the forest, and you want to open a wound in every cat? Are you flea-brained?
Not flea-brained,
One Eye responded, baring his teeth.
Just strict. I like my cats to toe my line.
His voice became a low, threatening snarl.
It's time for you to leave. Now.
Clear Sky stood his ground. Glancing back at his cats, he made a last, desperate attempt to rally them. Come on, I need your help. He can't kill all of us. He noticed that Acorn Fur and Thorn slid out their claws, but the rest of them didn't move. Petal, who had struggled back onto her paws, shook her head and mewed in a hoarse voice. No, Clear Sky, you don't understand. As Clear Sky stared at her in confusion, One Eye raised his head.
Come out now,
he yowled. At his words, the undergrowth rustled from all around the clearing. At his words, the undergrowth rustled, and from all around the clearing, cats emerged into the open. Rogue cats who Clear Sky had never set eyes on before. He took in their scrawny bodies, their sharp teeth and claws, their cold, amalgamate eyes. Their fur was clumped and spiky. They had rolled in the mud and plant juices to disguise their scents from him and his cats, he realized, so that there would be nothing to warn them as they returned from the meeting. Every hair on Clear Sky's pelt shivered in horror as the strangers stepped forward, surrounding him and his cats.
Really, Clear Sky?
One Eye meowed in mockery.
You didn't think I would move in without a few friends to back me up? Not even you would be that stupid.
Clear Sky could see that he and his followers were badly outnumbered. If they tried to fight the rogues under One Eye's leadership, they would be torn to pieces. His heart began to race as fear throbbed through him, though he continued to face One Eye. With a look of defiance.
I told you to leave, Clear Sky, One Eye meowed. I'm not going to kill you. I know that you'll suffer far more knowing that I took the leadership out of your paws because you couldn't hold on to it. So leave before I have to put my claw marks on you.
Clear Sky cast one final glance at the group of cats. My cats! They were bunched together uneasily, thoroughly cowed by the appearance of the strange rogues. Fervently, he tried to send them the silent message that he wouldn't abandon them. Somehow, I'll find a way to come back for you. But Snake turned his head away, and Clear Sky felt something die inside of him. Do they really want my help? He asked himself, not myself.
As for the rest of you, One Eye continued, you'll stay here and take my mark. You won't be harmed, provided you behave yourselves.
Defeated, Clear Sky turned to go, but as he took the first paw steps, his gaze lightened on the hollow tree, and Sparrowfur peering out helplessly from between the branches that imprisoned her. I won't leave her to be tortured by One Eye, Clear Sky resolved. letting his head droop and his tail trail along the ground. Clear Sky padded across the clearing in the direction of the hollow tree. Two strange cats nearest to it fell back to let him pass between them. As soon as he was out of the circle of One-Eye's rogues, Clear Sky sprang forward. Darting up to the hollow tree, he tore at the branches with paws giving strength from desperation. A gap opened up and Sparrowfur wriggled through it. "Run!" Clear Sky yowled. He thrust the kid in front of him as One-Eye let out a screech of rage, and the whole gang of rogues turned to pursue him. But Clear Sky knew the forest far better than any newcomer. He showed Sparrowfur the way between trees, under bushes, through bramble thickets, splashing for several fox lengths up a narrow stream to break their scent. He was thankful that the young cat's wounds had almost healed, but her strength held out. Though her chest heaved with effort of running and her breath rasped. At last the furious shrieks and caterwauls died away behind them. Clear Sky burst out of the forest with Sparrowfur hard on his paws. As she collapsed panting, he turned and looked back at the line of trees, where the last few leaves clung to stark, bare branches. My home. That was my home. Throwing back his head, Clear Sky sent up a wordless yowling. A desperate cry to any of his cats who could hear him. The sound died away into silence. There was no response. Clear Sky glanced down at Sparrowfur, who met his gaze with wide, troubled eyes. "What are we gonna do, Clear Sky?" she asked. Clear Sky took a breath to answer, but said nothing. He had nothing to say. He had lost his home and his group of cats. One-Eye had defeated him. Dun dun dun! Okay, let's read one more chapter and then we'll switch to Minecraft. River Ripple! Yes! I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to read a chapter with River Ripple. Graywing crouched under a bush at the edge of River Ripple's island and watched River Ripple and Night, the black she-cat. As the sun glinted on the water, the two cats dipped in their paws and scooped fish out onto the bank. The fish writhed there, the rainbow-colored scales reflecting the sunlight. In the days that Graywing had spent with River Ripple, he could not get used to the idea of cats who didn't mind getting their paws wet. He was intrigued by the thought of hunting like that. No scenting the air, no stalking or pouncing, just patience and a swift paw. Graywing remembered how Dapplepelt had sometimes caught fish on the journey out of the mountains. So much has happened since then. Graywing's belly squirmed with guilt as he thought that he was completely reliant on River Ripple and his cats to provide him with food. None of them had complained, seeming to sense that he needed time to think. They had given him a soft nest and all the fish he could eat. But Graywing knew that he couldn't go on like this. Mwah! Much more of it, and I'll lose all my hunting skills. I was once a leader of cats, and now I'm being cared for like a kit. He was pleased, however, that his breathing was much easier, and he hoped that Thunder was taking his rightful place as leader. "You all right, Bab?" "I am! Hi, British guy." Night hurled another fish out onto the bank and let out a roar of exulted laughter. "See that? It's the biggest yet." "Nonsense!" River Ripple gave her a friendly nudge. "I've caught one at least a mouth length bigger than that." Graywing rose to his paws and padded over to them. "I'd like to contribute some prey," he meowed. "I think I'll leave for a while and go hunting on the moor." "Fine," River Ripple responded. "I'll come with you." He took the lead as the two cats made their way over the stepping stones to the river bank. But once there, Graywing forged ahead through the long grasses, his ears pricked for the sound of prey. Before he had gone for many paw steps, he came upon Dew, another rogue who had joined River Ripple. Her gaze was fixed on a vole that was crouching under a nearby clump of fern. Graywing halted, not wanting to disturb Dew's hunt. Then as he looked more closely at the vole, he saw that its belly was bloated, and that flecks of foam were spotted around its jaw. "Don't touch that," he mewed. "Sick." Dew nodded. "It's like the other one we found. Don't worry, I'm not going near it." River Ripple peered over Graywing's shoulder, then shook his head in frustration. "We're seeing more and more of this. I don't know what we can do to stop it." Dew let out a disgusted hiss. It's all well and good for us to separate, but now there's no way of knowing if the others are having the same problem or how far the illness has spread.
It has spread at least as far as the hollow, Greywing told her somberly.
Dew shrugged, drawing back from the vault. I'm going back to the island. River Ripple dipped his head to her. Knight and I caught plenty of fish. Help yourself. Thanks. Dew whipped around and vanished into the long grass. Greywing and River Ripple continued, keeping well away from the sick foal. If you'd like, I'll teach you some of my hunting techniques, Greywing suggested. On the moor, they seem to think I'm pretty good at working out strategies and sniffing out prey. River Ripple murmured agreement, though Greywing noticed his whiskers twitching as if he was amused. Okay, Greywing began. There are obviously voles around here, so what we have to do is track some down. They live in tunnels, right? River Ripple nodded. He's like... River Ripple is like, all right, old man. Tell me your wisdom. I'll listen along. You just need to talk. I understand. It has been all right. How's your day been? So hunting them must be the same as hunting rabbits, Greywing decided. Though even Windrunner couldn't follow a vole down its hole. This way, he meowed, veering back towards the bank, but further downstream than the stepping stones that River Ripple's island. After a few paw steps, he crouched down and pressed his ear to the ground. What in the world are you doing? River Ripple asked, sounding astonished. Listening for voles, Greywing explained. Pleased there was something he knew that the Silver Tom didn't, but I don't hear anything. Let's try further on. River Ripple seemed more interested now, and angled his ears towards the spot on the bank with a luxuriant growth of plants. That's the stuff voles like to eat. The second time Greywing listened, he heard faint scratching noises under the ground. There's at least one vole around here. He scouted around, opening his jaws to taste the air, until he picked up the scent of vole and tracked it to a small hole in the ground among the roots of a hawthorn bush. Stay there, he instructed River Ripple. In sound, that's good. I'm glad. I am glad. I keep on losing my dang place. Listening carefully for the scratching sounds, Greywing managed to follow the tunnel all the way to the other end, a hole in the side of the bank. He scrambled down carefully until he stood on the strip of mud and pebbles that separated the side of the bank from the water. Okay, he called to River Ripple. Scratch at the hole and yowl into it, as loud as you can. From his position, he couldn't see River Ripple, but he heard the fearsome screeching coming from the other end of the tunnel. That should get them moving, he thought, satisfied. A moment later, there was frantic squeaking and scuffling coming from inside the tunnel. First 2, then 3, then 4 voles burst out into the open, their eyes wide with horror. Greywing felt a rush of exhilaration as he pounced on 2 of them, one under each paw. Expertly, he snapped their necks, but as he turned to pursue the other 2, a dark shadow flashed over him, and a harsh cry sounded from above. He looked up and saw a hawk plummeting out of the sky, its talons extended. Greywing barely had time to leap out of the way, rolling over on the pebbles, while the hawk snatched up one of the other voles as it tried to flee. The 4th vole plopped into the river and vanished. Bro died. River Ripple bounded up, peering down at Greywing from the top of the bank. Let's get out of here, he urged. We don't need all this prey. We have more than enough on the island. Greywing rose to his paws, listening to the faint wheezing of his own breathing. Ignoring River Ripple, he padded back to where he had left the 2 dead voles, and checked them all over for signs of illness, giving them a good sniff, and parting their fur with careful claws. Satisfied that they were healthy, he picked them up by their tails and scrambled up the bank to drop them at River Ripple's paws. I just wanted to contribute, he meowed, his eyes burning with hurt, to feel useful. River Ripple's shoulders sagged. You don't need to prove yourself to me, he murmured. I've seen everything you've done, the way you've led your cats. But any cat can see that you've been hurting, and I was happy to give you a place to retreat to. Gently, he pushed the dead voles back towards Greywing. Maybe you know some other cats who could use some food. Some kits, maybe? Aww. Greywing stared at the Silver Tom. How did you know? He gasped, astonished by his friend's wisdom.
It's true, I haven't been able to stop thinking about Pebbleheart and Owl Eyes, and poor Sparrowfur. I don't even know if her injuries are better, he thought guiltily. And how is Pebbleheart coping with being a healer? And Owl Eyes, I hope he isn't being overlooked because his brother has grown up so quickly. Does he get the chance to play and enjoy being a kid? I think it's time for me to go home, he told River Ripple. The silver-furred Tom dipped his head in understanding. I wondered how long it would take for you to realize that, he mewed. But should you ever need refuge, you know where we are. Greywing felt a pang at the thought of leaving this cat who had become such a good friend. Would you like to come back to the hollow with me? He asked. Maybe you and Knight and Dew could... He broke off as River Ripple shook his head. That's not what we agreed at the 4 trees, remember? We need to separate and isolate this sickness. Besides, the island is my home. I could not live anywhere else. Greywing sighed regretfully. I know, but I'll miss you, River Ripple. Thank you for all your help. I'll never forget what you've done for me. He touched noses with the silver Tom, then turned and headed towards the hollow, picking up the pace as he felt the tough moor grass under his paws once again. Excitement fluttered in his belly. He would miss River Ripple. He had missed the kits too, more than he had realized until now. Will they be glad to see me again? I hope so. On his way to camp, Greywing was crossing the center of the moorland when he heard a faint mewing coming from the scattering of rocks just ahead. To reach them, he had to cross a dip in the ground, a sandy hollow that felt itchy against his pads. Halfway across, he spotted a cat perched on a flat-topped rock, watching him. Windrunner! He exclaimed, dropping his prey in surprise. What are you doing out here on your own? Are you okay? Windrunner leaped down from the rock and ran across the hollow to touch noses with him. I'm not on my own, she replied. Come say hello to Gorsefur and the kids. Retrieving his voles, Greywing followed Windrunner along the winding path of rocks until they reached a bank where a rabbit burrow had been dug out to make a den like the ones in the moorland camp. Gorsefur was sitting at the entrance, Mothflight and Dustmuzzle tussling together on the grass in front of him. They sprang apart when they saw Greywing, and Gorsefur rose to his paws and came out to meet him. It's good to see you again, he purred. Greywing couldn't help noticing how scrawny the 2 kits looked. Would you like one of these voles? He asked, setting one down between them. Thank you! The 2 kits squeaked in chorus, falling on the prey with hungry bites. Windrunner cast a grateful glance at Greywing, who motioned to her to follow him aside a few paw steps. I'm so sorry to hear that Morning Whisker had died when we met at the 4 trees, he meowed. I know what it's like to grieve. How are you coping? Windrunner's whole body trembled, but she managed to control her emotions. Look around you, she responded. I'm sheltered and dry here. I have my own space, and there's room for my kids to grow and flourish. Greywing bit back a comment that her kids seemed to be doing anything but flourishing. Life as a rogue is hard, he murmured gently. We're not rogues anymore. Windrunner snapped at him with some of her old tartness. Yes, life is hard, but I'm setting up my own group here. Really? Greywing asked, surprised. Windrunner shrugged. Okay, maybe now I'm making a home for my family, but I'm doing something that's more than wandering around like a rogue cat without a real home or friends. I've learned a lot from living with the others, and now I want to put that to use here. The hollow and the forest aren't the only places a group of cats could live. Greywing knew that she was right. River Ripple's home on the island was proof. Is this how WindClan gets born? Because Windrunner separates, and then I'm guessing when Tall Shadow moves, a lot of the cats are gonna be confused on where to go. And now that Clear Sky has been booted out. Where the heck was I? Greywing knew that she was right. River Ripple's home on the island was proof of that. Then look after yourself and your family, he mewed. I'd better be getting back. Would you like the other vole? Windrunner shook her head. We'll be fine, thanks. Greywing was relieved that she had refused. I want something to take back to Turtletail's kits. They're almost grown now, but they'll still enjoy a treat. As he turned to leave,
He paused, spotting another cat watching him from the shadows of one of the rocks, a she-cat with thick, dark gray pelt and wide amber eyes. "Slate!" Windrunner called, beckoning with her tail. "Come and meet Greywing. He is one of the cats from that big group I told you about." Slate patted forward and dipped her head to Greywing, giving him an interested stare. "It's good to meet you," she mewed. "I see we both have colors in our names." As she spoke, her eyes were alight with mischief, and for the first time in moons, Greywing felt an amused purr bubbling up in his throat. "Great to meet you, too," he responded politely. "Are you coming to live with us here?" Slate asked. Greywing shook his head. "I have my own home to go to in the hollow," he explained. Home for now, he realized. An idea was forming in his mind that he hardly dared to put into words. Seeing Windrunner had made that plan seem a little more real. "I see," Slate murmured. "Can I come with you for part of the way?" Surprised and pleased, Greywing agreed. Saying goodbye to Windrunner and Gorsefur, they padded along side by side. "How's Windrunner managing?" Greywing asked, feeling awkward as he mumbled his question around the wool in his jaws. Slate dipped her head thoughtfully. "She's surviving, but it's hard. I know what it's like to lose someone I loved. My brother died saving me from a fox attack. Look." She slid to the ground and rolled over so that Greywing could see a healed scar on the tender part of her belly. His heart softened in sympathy. Why is she's giving out really weird vibes. Like, not like bad vibes, like a little weirdo vibes. Like, look at that. And then he's like, just says stuff out of pocket. Not very good at context cues. Weird like me. Quirky, maybe. That's a good word. She slid, right. "There's something very special about a cat who can show her vulnerable side like this to some cat she's only just met." "Yeah." "I'm sorry," he murmured. "Your brother must have been a great cat." Slate walked with Greywing in comfortable silence until the hollow came into sight. Then she halted. "I'll leave you here." She meowed. "Good luck." Luck? Greywing was puzzled. What for? The gray she-cat's amber eyes were glinting again. With merriment or wisdom, Greywing couldn't tell. "For the challenges ahead," she replied. "I can feel them resting heavy on your shoulders." She brushed her tail along his side and turned to go. "Good luck to you, too," Greywing called after her, unable to tear his gaze away as she strode confidently across the moor. He is into her. "Hi, Perf!" Potential romance buddy? Mayhaps? "She knows more about me from a few moments' talk than some cats I've lived with for seasons. Where in the world did Windrunner find her?" As Greywing approached the camp, he spotted tall shadows standing at the edge of the hollow. Her gaze was fixed on the horizon, towards where the thunder path stretched. Her tail curled up in welcome as she noticed Greywing. "You're back," she meowed in tones of deep satisfaction as she touched noses with him. "Are you glad to be home again?" "I think so," Greywing responded, looking around for the kits and spotting Pebbleheart at the entrance to their den. "You think so?" Tall Shadow called after him as he headed towards the den. Greywing glanced over his shoulder. "It's good for now," he called back. "But for how long?" Dun dun dun! Nice. All right, we finished! We finished our hour and a half warrior cat reading. Now it's time for Minecraft. I'm gonna end the stream so that this warrior cat is separate from Minecraft, because although nobody watches them back, I like to have them separated just for myself. All right, I'll be right back.